I thought we'd break off from the news a little bit because I got a fascinating book that I've been reading called Our Sarah, Made in Alaska by Chuck Heath Sr. and Chuck Heath Jr. Now, who is Chuck Heath Jr.? Chuck Heath Jr. is Sarah Palin's brother. Chuck, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Mark, it's great to talk with the great one, finally. I'm doing well.
Well, it's a great pleasure. First of all, let me ask you this as a personal matter. You think you could beat Todd at, like, arm wrestling or something?
Do you think I could?
Yeah, that guy's pretty tough.
I got a little bit of weight on him, though. But I don't know. I don't know. Those forearms from riding that snow machine, you know, in that 2,000-mile race are pretty pumped up, too. It'd be close.
Now, do you do that, too?
I do it for recreation and while we're hunting also, but I don't race.
But you know you're a school teacher obviously and you play hockey. But what caught me is you gold mine during the summer, right?
Yeah, I've been mining for probably 25 years now in the summers, and I was doing it full time actually. Took some time off from teaching and thought I'd try to get rich.
Did you? That's tough business.
You know, I made a little more actually than I did teaching, but I was away from home constantly and raising a family and trying to be a miner is a tough thing to do.
I watched those shows on it. You know, what's it called? Is it called Gold Rush in Alaska? Something like that. I forget.
Well, there's Gold Rush, and that's, you know, you got some people that are coming out of the States that are kind of learning the trade the hard way. And there's another one called Bering Sea Gold. Where
yes, that one's good. Yep.
Yeah, I actually used to do that. I started in 1997 working up in Nome and diving out in the ocean, just exactly what you're seeing there.
You know, for those of us who grew up in places like New York or Philadelphia or Chicago, it's like totally foreign, and it's so cool. I want to ask you a question about your sister.
Okay.
Well, I mean, she grew up in that environment and so forth. Is that what made her tough? Well,
you know, in many ways, in most ways, Alaska really still is the last frontier. And we grew up, you know, we hunted and fished to literally put food on the table. We carried our own wood, you know, cut our wood, fed our own fireplaces. We had a separate wood stove in our section of the house, the kids did, to try to keep everything warm. And if we wanted to basically survive growing up, we were out hunting, fishing, and cutting wood. So yeah, that made her tough.
So basically, I would die in a place like that.
Nah, you'd adjust. You'd have to.
I'd have to hang on to you because, believe me, I don't even like it when it's under 32 degrees, my friend.
No, you'd be fine, Mark. We'd take care of you.
Well, what kind of family life was it? Did you have a lot of fun? You were involved in a lot of sports, all of you, and so forth? Yeah,
we were very involved in athletics. You know, we went from one sport to the other year-round. Dad was coaching, you know, most of those sports. We were also really involved in our church, too. So we were constantly involved in different activities. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the hunting and fishing, that was every weekend during the school year. Even during the winter, we were out hunting ptarmigan or whatever we needed to put that meat on the table. And then the fall was moose and caribou and sheep. And, of course, the summers, you were catching salmon all summer to stock your freezer.
This is an odd question, but I have to ask you. So when you cook this meat, do you like it well done, medium well? I mean, I like it well done, and everybody laughs at me all the time.
Well, you're cooking all the flavor out of it. You know,
I can't help it. I'm killing all
the time. She likes to ruin it like that, too.
Oh, really? Well, maybe I ought to talk to her.
Well, I even hang out with my dad for a while and watch him walk into the kitchen and stick his hand in a bowl of raw hamburger and eat it right out of the bowl.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I have a friend like that. You know, there's bacteria in that stuff.
Yeah. He says what doesn't kill him makes him stronger. So.
All right, let me ask you this. Did you ever think, growing up with Sarah Palin, and talking to Sarah Palin's brother, Chuck, did you ever think she'd get involved in politics?
You know, we weren't political at all as kids. I guess the first signs that I ever saw were in high school. She started getting involved with student government, but, you know, lots of people get involved with that. Seeing her carry it to this level, it's been unbelievable.
And when she first ran for mayor, I mean, I assume the whole family got involved in that, right?
Yeah, we were all out on the street corners holding signs. We were making the signs, and everyone out in Wasilla was knocking on doors, and we were 100% behind her the whole way.
And then running for governor, what did you think? Like, Sarah, what are you doing? Or, Sarah, you can do this? Well, people have asked us that question, and they kind of assume that, Sarah came to us and said she was going to run for governor, but it was basically it was exactly the opposite of that. It was family and friends going to Sarah. We'd seen the incredible job she'd done as mayor and on the Oil and Gas Commission and standing up to the oil companies and fighting the corrupt leadership in her own Republican Party. We saw all that, and the time was ripe for her to make a run for governor. So it was family and friends that really pushed her into it. And they said it couldn't be done. She didn't have the money. She didn't have the name recognition. It was a complete uphill battle that they said couldn't be done. The thing that the heads of the Republican Party didn't understand, though, and her opponents, was she had a connection with the people that nobody had ever had before. So she didn't have the big corporate dollars pouring into her campaign. She had, the mom and pops in towns giving $5-10 here and there, but there were so many of them that she ended up winning in a runaway. Chuck, I think this is what a lot of people in Washington don't get about your sister. She was like a one-person Tea Party activist before there was a Tea Party, and my point is this. She took on the Republican establishment. She took on the crony capitalists. They tried to beat her down. She beat them back. And when you hear her talk today, this is what she's talking about, as an outsider trying to break up the ruling class. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, she has such a strong sense of right and wrong, and forget all the politics of being a Republican or a Democrat or whatever. She believes strongly in our Constitution, and that's the document that set this whole country up. And why do we have to complicate things and dilute things? She's going to get in there, and whatever position she holds, she'll take the best people she can possibly grab to work for the common good. And she worked for everything she got. As you were pointing out, as kids, you had to work for your food, basically. And she went to state school, and you get all these Ivy League types. Many cases, their parents paid for everything and so forth. They look down on that. And yet, she came through all these things. It kind of reminds me of my parents and other people who work hard and make something of themselves. I mean, basically, she's illustrative of the American dream, right? Yeah, she's a shining example, really, of showing that you can come from anything. We had no money at all when we were kids. We literally, we were scraping by. But it was a given in our household that you were going to go to college, and it was also a given that you were going to pay for it yourself. And all four of us, at one time, all four kids were in school at the same time. Sarah ended up taking almost 5 years to graduate, but she came out of school completely debt-free. And how many people can say that nowadays? Now, when your sister's attacked, when her kids are attacked, I mean, you're her brother. Right. That must just tick you off to no end. It is. That's been one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. I had to sit and bite my tongue for years and years, knowing that those on the left and the mainstream media, they wanted us to react. They wanted the family to react and jump up and punch someone in the nose. And I literally, there have been times when I've had to physically hold my father back when some of these just horrible accusations, all false, of course, have been thrown her way. But it's been really tough, and that was part of the impetus for writing this book. We wanted to share, the history of Alaska, the history of our family, to show the hardships and the wonderful times that we went through also, to show how all of that helped form her character. But at the same time, we wanted to dispel a lot of this garbage that's been thrown out there. I'm talking to Chuck Heath, Jr., Sarah Palin's brother, and the book is Our Sarah, Made in Alaska. You can go to marklevinshow.com. It is up there, right, Mr. Producer? Yes, it's on our social sites, my social sites. You can go to Amazon.com, any reputable bookstore, and if they don't have it, they're not reputable. But you can ask them for it. But it was co-authored by your dad and you. Well, tell me a little bit about your dad, because your dad sounds, I'm not saying he's like me, but, you know, somebody would have to hold me back, too. I mean, he must be, first of all, proud as hell. That's number one. And number two, get furious watching the cheap shots, too.
Yeah, you know, Dad's as tough as nails. He's 74 years old, and he's still packing moose out of the mountains. So he's a real mountain man, and that's not an exaggeration at all. And you can imagine, you know, the attacks on his daughter, what that would do to a person like that. But he's learning how to handle it. His skin has gotten a lot thicker, and like you say too, you will never see anybody more proud of his daughter. We were in New York City last week. And, you know, it's not exactly the bastion for conservatism. And he would walk up to every stranger he saw, you know, give him a little nudge and say hello to Sarah Palin's father. And, you know, most of the time in New York City, he got the dirty look or, well, sorry about that, sorry to hear that. And but that nothing slows him down. He just smiles and trudges on. Well,
you know what? I've got a lot of fans in New York City. And I'll tell you what, if he had bumped into them, I'll bet they would have put him on their shoulders. Now, let me ask you this.
There were great people there, too.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Tell me about the family's faith. I mean, I don't want to pry too much, but you do write about it. Tell me a little bit about the family's faith.
Well, it was a very important part of our life growing up. We were in church, you know, at least every Sunday, if not Sunday night and Wednesday night. It kept us on the straight and narrow. You know, it comforted us and gave us hope. And one of the really, really important things that it's given Sarah, it's given her this solid foundation to fall back on. That when the arrows are flying and she's getting ridiculed for this or that, when she knows in her heart that she's doing the right thing, she knows she's got that faith to fall back on, and you know, there's no worries.
Well, Chuck, let me tell you something. You have a wonderful family. I mean, one day, do I actually have to go to Alaska to meet every? I mean, I ought to go to Alaska.
Get up here, Mark.
I have to go in the summer, right? That would be okay.
Yeah, you know, you might not do too well in the middle of a 40 below winter. Yeah.
No, you figured me out. No. But I really want to meet everybody, because this book is fascinating, folks. It's Our Sarah, Made in Alaska, by Chuck Heath Sr., and I'm talking to Chuck Heath Jr., Sarah Palin's brother. You're really a good guy. You're really a class act. I've enjoyed talking to you. Well, you too, Mark, and I hope people really give the book a chance. You know, one of the best things about it, besides all these incredible Alaska stories, is you're getting to hear from her closest friends and family, and these are people that have never spoken in the media before. Well, it's a beautiful book. It's really great, and you do have a lot of really good stories in here. Our Sarah, Made in Alaska, by Chuck Heath Sr. and Jr. God bless you, my friend, and God bless your family. You take care.